how are we? Welcome back to my channel. It's Anna. So a couple months ago, I saw my friend Emma, Made in the Moment, do a crochet fiber arts knitting hot takes video, and I loved it. I ate it up. I love seeing what people have to say when it's anonymous, because the super fun thing is we all have different opinions. So I wanted to do a video like that as well and react to some of your hot takes, give my opinions, open up for polite, respectful discourse in the comments because I'm very interested in what people have to say. I think with a lot of things, there's not necessarily a right answer. There's a lot of gray. It's not very black and white, so it creates for a very interesting conversation, and I figured that's what we could do here today. I asked you guys over on Instagram to give me your hot takes. Everything is going to be anonymous because you should be able to speak your piece and not have your name associated with it if you don't want. So I've screenshot a bunch. I'm going to react on my phone and let you guys know my thoughts, opinions, all of that good stuff. So let's get into it. Quickly, before we get into today's video, I just want to give a big thank you to today's sponsor, Casetify. Casetify is the world's most popular tech accessory brand. They're specifically known for their iconic collabs and super cute but super protective phone cases. I've known of Casetify for so long. Their cases are literally so cute, and they've collabed with like so many amazing people. Like they just recently collabed with Olivia Rodrigo, which is like so sick. But today I want to specifically show their brand new case, the push-in case. It looks like this. It is a phone case with 13 to 14 different holes in the back of it, and in them you can put these cute little pins. It is super easily customizable, and they have 4 different phone cases to choose from, as well as 4 different push pin collections to choose from. So the 2 that I have to show you guys are the cottagecore pins. That's what I have on my phone right now. They're so cute, super in love with them. And then I also have the retro west set. I think this is such a cool concept for a phone case because it's super customizable. Like you have the background and you just put whatever pins in that you want, whatever feels like you in the moment. Sometimes I'm not feeling very cute cottagecore girl, but sometimes I want to feel like, I don't know, like a little cowboy-esque. I want my little boot and my little hat, and I can put that in from the Retro West collection. Like that's so cool and that's so fun. And not gonna lie, before I got this, I was very worried that it wouldn't be a very protective case because it has all of like the cool decorative elements, but it is still so protective. I am like genuinely so impressed. The case itself is made from a very soft and flexible material, and it's drop proof from up to 4 feet, which is like so helpful for someone who throws their phone as if it's not a $1,000 piece of technology. Like, I'm obviously not going to change my habits. I'm still going to continue to throw my phone. Sorry, mom and dad. But this case is so protective that like I'm not now worried that I'm going to shatter my screen because it protects cracks and scratches and all that good stuff. So if you want to be like me and have a super cute customizable phone case that'll get across your vibes however you're feeling, or if you're interested in the hundreds of other amazing cases that Casetify has to offer, you can go to casetify.com/AnnaKallajian to get 15% off your order with Casetify. Thank you so much to Casetify for sponsoring today's video, and let's get back into the hot takes. The first one I have is holier than thou attitudes by experienced or gatekeepy artists are unnecessary. Let people have fun. I chose this one because I agree. I think some people think things are too big of a deal at times, but I have that with an asterisk because in my opinion, I think people, and it's the select few people, at least to me, it's not everybody. A lot of people are very respectful and they're not asking in a mean way. They're just asking because they're curious, and you're totally allowed to ask. But in my opinion, there are a couple of people who expect artists, whether you're a content creator and you're posting to like have a following and like you make your money as like an independent artist, or you're just posting for a hobby. There are people who like expect you to give every piece of expertise, information, everything that you do to them without, you know, blinking an eye, basically. Like everything that I know you are entitled to. And I think in that kind of mindset, it is unfair to any artist, because if someone's just doing this as a hobby to share it, maybe they don't want to like have to like write out a whole caption, right? But with that being said, I do think that there are like select artists, people, whatever, very few. I like personally haven't, I don't think I've even met anybody who has been like annoying like that. but there are definitely people who like won't say what they're using. I guess I look at it where it's like, yeah, no one's entitled to like give you the answers even if you really want them, and it definitely at times can come across very like pretentious or like rude, but like, I don't know, I'm not entitled to knowing what they do. If this is their job and they're afraid that someone's gonna sell it a yarn, personally not something I would do. I think I would just like tell people what it was, because I personally don't care that much. However, I can understand why an artist wouldn't. I personally don't see it as that big of a deal. Yarn is yarn, a pattern is a pattern. If I could tell you what pattern I used and it gets a lot of traction because a lot of people like it and that pattern designer gets more sales or whatever, I don't know, I would tell you. But I do think some people at times can get like need to get off their high horse. But all around, I don't think that's like a very big problem, if that makes sense. I don't know if that was a very straightforward answer. I feel like there's a lot of like nuance in there. This next one says, I will never make a gauge swatch. I will just deal with the consequences. I used to be very like this. I used to be very anti-gauge swatch until I started making things and nothing was fitting, nothing was coming out right. Sometimes I'm using a yarn that isn't exactly what the pattern calls for. I have started gauge swatching just to save myself time, especially as I started knitting. I don't feel like wasting my time. I don't really care if anyone else does though. If you don't want to gauge swatch and you never want to do that, that's fine. Like in my patterns when I write them, I'm going to tell you to do a gauge swatch. If you don't want to do it and it doesn't turn out the way that you wanted it to, babe, that's your prerogative. That is up to you. You're a big kid. You can figure it out. If you complain that it didn't come out right and you didn't do a gauge swatch, don't complain to me. But if you don't want to do a gauge swatch and you don't care about the outcome, have the time of your life. Save yourself the time. Do whatever you want. I don't really care. This next one said, frog or sell anything you don't wear at least 3 times within a year of making it. I thought this was interesting because I don't know if I agree, but I also don't know if I disagree. I kind of included this one because I'm interested in hearing what you guys have to say. I personally think that you don't have to wear or use everything that you make all the time. You know, part of the process and the joy of making all these things is like the making it. It's not just the end product, it's the, you know, therapeutic nature of knitting or crocheting or making in general, and maybe that's why you're making the product. So in my opinion, I guess I'm saying like you don't have to do that. I don't know if I agree if you don't wear or use it at least 3 times in a year. I don't know. I'm interested in what you guys have to say though, because I understand what this person's getting at. Like if you're not getting use out of it, donate it, get rid of it. This one says, I like making things for people but not when they ask. I couldn't agree more. I could not agree more. I love making things for people. If I can make a sweater for every single person in my life for every holiday, I genuinely would. I really, as I've like grown, and I would love to do a whole video on this, so I'm not going to get too into it, but as I've grown as an artist and as a person, I love making gifts for people more and more, and I care less and less about selling. And if I had the time or the energy or the money to make people things all of the time because I want to, I absolutely would. If there's an expectation that I'm gonna make something for someone, that's when I'm like, girl, you're delusional. This next one says, sustainability in fiber arts doesn't look the same for everyone. And I do agree. I think a lot of the time people get caught up in having to be the perfect consumer, being perfectly eco-friendly, being perfectly sustainable, and I don't think there's ever going to be perfect in any of that. I think it's also very important to remember that making a couple of changes is better than making no changes. I would love to just be buying like wool. First of all, I would love to be buying just like nicer yarn in general all of the time, but like it's so expensive, like point blank. I don't have money for that. I know a lot of you guys don't have money for that. Acrylic yarn is really pretty, it's really affordable, it can be really nice. So many nice colors. If that's what works for you, that's what works for you. You're already doing what you can, in my opinion, to consume less by making your own clothing. You're consuming less by making a stuffed animal instead of buying one. I don't know. You are being sustainable in your own way, and I think people get too caught up on like their one idea of sustainability. This is interesting. I feel like we all have such different views on what sustainability is that I feel like it's hard to say that there's like one right way of doing it, and the few people who think that there is like a right way of doing it makes Like, it's like almost turns other people off. At least it would turn me off, right, if I wasn't already in the community. This next one is I hate granny squares. I'm so sorry. You're crazy for this one. And like with love, like with like the utmost of love in my heart, like so much love you endlessly. You're crazy. I love granny squares. I love granny square blankets. I love granny square clothing. I just think granny squares are really cute. That's me though. You speak your truth, you live your peace, okay? I think I said that wrong. You speak your piece, you live your truth. Do whatever makes you happiest, make whatever makes you happiest. I still think you're a little silly, because I love granny squares. This next one says, having a huge yarn stash is not the flex people think it is, i.e. consumerism. This one also, I think, is a little more gray than it is just black and white. I agree to an extent. The way I look at it is, I personally like putting really big yarn orders in, having a lot of yarn for a while, and then doing what I can to work from my stash. That might not be what you mean from this tiny little Instagram box comment, right? You can only say so many things in those little question boxes on Instagram. So maybe like if you had more space, you would elaborate more. But I look at it where if you are a full-time artist and you are designing and creating patterns and selling products for a living, and you want to have a big stash because that is you're waking up every day to do that stuff, I don't think that is linked to consumerism personally, but I do think it's important to have intentions to use all that yarn. So if you want to have, like, I have a bunch of yarn, and if I'm not going to use that yarn, I am going to look to donate or sell it because there's no point in letting it sit, right? But if you don't have use for yarn and you just keep buying more and buying more and buying more, that's where I think it gets a little bit like you're just buying it to buy it and not to craft with it, right? It's just being mindful with how you're purchasing and spending your money and making sure you're not being wasteful. But also at the end of the day, it's your money. I'm not gonna tell you what to do. If you want to buy a bunch of yarn and you're not gonna use it, like, I might not love that because that's not what I would do, but the world doesn't revolve around me. So I don't know. I think there are some instances where having a large yarn stash is fine, but I don't know. It's another one that I want to know what you guys have to say. I feel like there's so much more nuance to something like this because it's like my perspective on it. It's gonna be so different from someone else's, and I might not be able to like see it from that perspective until someone tells me about it, right? This next one says, I hate magic rings. Like, I just can't figure them out for some reason. Chain 4 slip stitch all the way. I couldn't disagree more. I couldn't disagree more. I love the magic ring, but to preface, the first pattern I ever made, if any of you guys, I don't know why you would, have been around since the beginning or have watched my first crocheting video of me crocheting the hat, literally the first thing I ever crocheted beyond like trying to learn how to do a single crochet in like a little swatch, the first thing I learned was the magic circle. Girl, am I crazy? I didn't realize it at the time, but like realizing it now, that I'm like, are you dumb? It was so hard to learn. I got so mad trying to learn it, but now that I know how to do it, I could do it super easily, and it's like it makes a lot of sense to me. But I realize most people don't learn like that, so I can understand how like learning it after is confusing. But with that being said, honestly, the chain 4 slip stitch type of circle start confuses me. I don't get how to start something like that. So I'm a magic circle girl all the way. I cannot lie. This next one says, amigurumi is so much easier than crocheting clothing. I disagree also. Sorry. I also have a preference for making clothing though. I just think that's the way my brain works. I just think that we all have different brains and our brains all understand things differently. My clothing just always looks better than my plushies. It's just the way it is. And I also just have more fun making clothing. So I think it's preference along with the way our just brains register instruction. I don't necessarily think that one thing is inherently harder than the other. I think both can be challenging and I think both can be easy, but if I had to choose, amigurumi is harder. This next one is, I hate balaclavas, never understood the hype. I kind of agree. I don't really understand where that trend came from. I've grown to like them more, I will admit that. I've yet to make one for myself. I don't really have an intention to. I understand that they are very practical because sometimes when I'm walking home from class and it's snowing or it's like at night so it's colder, I wish I had something that would like encapsulate my head. But also at the same time, like it would piss me off if it ruined my hair. Not that I care about my hair that much, but I think I would just get annoyed. But I never really understood the hype either. I'm tired of cows with different themes like blueberry. It was cute at first, but not anymore. Same, kind of. I think they're cute. I'm a sucker for like anything just cutesy, but I do agree. I feel like we've like been there, done that for a while, and I would love to see other ideas come forward. I'm not really sure what they would be because I'm not really in that sphere. I'm more focused on clothing, like I was saying. But I do think it's like kind of done. Like I think we've like seen it. I think we've like we've touched on every fruit. I think we've been there and done that. This next one says, no one is entitled to fiber artists' work. People demand or request what isn't advertised, and I could not agree more. I think I touched on this a little bit earlier. There are select few people who really just expect fiber artists, whether it's a hobby or it's their job, to give them every piece of expertise, information, knowledge that they have just because they want it in that moment. Do you guys remember that Google exists? Like, I don't mean to be mean and I don't mean to come across harsh, but like, why should I be expected to tell you something that you can easily Google? When I first started learning how to crochet, I didn't know at all what to look up. I was so confused. And I'm not saying I want people to be confused in the way that I was. If I can help someone out in a way that I can help someone out, I would love to. If someone has a simple question, I will answer it. Just because I post something doesn't mean you're entitled to a pattern. Just because I have a pattern doesn't mean you're entitled to get it for free. I think there are, and like I said, it is a select few, but I think there is a select group of people who expect every single thing that someone posts to be something that they can gain from, and I think it's exhausting. And frankly, it has put me in a like fiber arts rut for like a while now. Like I don't want to make anything because I feel as if everything I make is expected to be something that you guys, not necessarily you, but like you guys as in people who view my content, you guys can learn something from or take away. Where I started making YouTube videos and I like making content because I liked watching YouTube because I liked having a friend to watch. That's what I want to do, is my point. I want to be a friend that someone can hang out with, and I feel like the more people start learning how to do this stuff, they expect everything is for free and for them, and like I'm so happy people are joining, you know, the fiber arts world. I think it's great. I really am happy that they are. But I think too many people expect that everything that every content creator or like even like a person who does that as a hobby puts out is going to be something they can take away from it. And that's just not the case. If you want to watch a free tutorial or whatever, get free content in that type of way that you can take something like instructions from, there's so many great videos, so many amazing people. And one day I personally would love to be someone like that because I would like to help people learn more. But I don't think it should be expected in the way that it is currently. I think that's very unfair, and like I said, it put me in a rut for a very long time because I'm like, no one's gonna care about my content, no one's gonna care about what I put out if it's not something that they can take something away from. And I'm very hard trying to lose that mindset because I don't think it's a healthy one to have, and I want to just be doing this for fun and for me. And if you guys would like to hear me talk about this more, I definitely can because I have a lot of feelings on it. I just think it's unfair that there are people who expect that everything is for them. I just think that's a selfish mindset, and we gotta lose it. It's not cute. I will get off my soapbox now. This next one says, weaving in ends with the right needle is therapeutic. I need more nuance from this person. What is the right needle and what is your process? Because I would love to hear it. I disagree. I think weaving in ends is asinine and annoying, so I wouldn't necessarily agree with you, but I would just like to hear what you have to say. Because I think this is interesting, specifically the right needle concept. But I do think weaving in ends is annoying. I just don't like it. I avoid it at all costs, but I do like seaming, like especially sewing knitting things together. I do like that. Okay, we have 2 left. This one says, some patterns shouldn't be $10, like it's a basic sweater, there's nothing special about it. Yeah, once again, this is a nuanced thing, and my perspective is going to be different from someone else's, and I'm not going to tell someone else that theirs is wrong, but from my perspective, I wouldn't charge a basic pattern to be more than like $5. Obviously patterns take a lot of like time to make, and I think some people who have expensive patterns, maybe I wouldn't price it as high as they did, but if that's what they feel it's priced at, that's what they feel it's priced at. It's their design, it's their work to write the pattern, they can do whatever they want. But with that being said, I think some people do make patterns too high when it's like, if it's a basic sweater vest and there are like 7,000 different options out there, granted, yes, someone can go buy one of those 7,000 other patterns instead of complaining to this one person about their price. But I think it's also like important to be like mindful of the audience. But that's just how I go about pricing my own patterns. Other people are probably gonna have other opinions, and that's fine. But I agree, I don't think I could ever in a right mind put out a basic or a basic, more simple standard pattern and make it like very expensive. I just don't think that it's just not something I would like to do. This last one's longer because this person DM'd me their thoughts, so I'm gonna read the whole thing. While I agree that you should charge your worth based on how much time you spent, I also think that you have to price things according to what the piece's value is. If it takes a beginner 10 hours to crochet a simple beanie, they shouldn't charge $150 to $200 just because it took them that long. This is part of why it's so hard to actually make money from your pieces, because most people won't or can't pay to cover labor, supplies, etc. And sometimes the labor costs are just too high to be reasonable. Like just because a sweater took you 500 hours to make, it doesn't mean that it's automatically worth 500 hours times the minimum wage to any consumer. It also has to be a good sweater. I agree, and I think some people are going to be a little upset about that. This is a doozy to end with. I really chose like to end with a bang, didn't I? But I agree. I think at times people get too into the whole charge your worth thing, and I'm gonna elaborate. Obviously you should charge your worth. You should not give someone a sweater for $30. They can get a grip. That's just ridiculous. But with that being said, if you're gonna sell a basic sweater, or I'm not gonna say basic because I feel like that could have a negative connotation, but a simple classic sweater, if you're gonna sell it, be realistic. Obviously crocheted or knitted items, especially handmade ones, specifically handmade ones, are luxury goods. No one needs a crochet sweater to live. That is a luxury good. That is a thing that I believe if you really want it, you should save up for and purchase it ethically from a small business or small artist. With that being said, I think if it's a simple, classic, just plain old sweater, one color, classic, simple design, don't charge $300 for it. That's not a $300 sweater. I will once again preface this by saying if anyone else does this, that's not my prerogative. That's none of my business, you know? This is just what I would do, and this is how I view things. And it doesn't mean my opinion is the right one. This is just how I feel. I feel the need to preface that because I know that this conversation could be like a little bit touchy, because I do fully believe that small artists should be charging their worth. I do not think that they should lower their price just to get it to sell better. But I do agree, maybe a better example is like a scarf. If a scarf takes you a long time to make, because it just takes you a long time to make, you keep like picking up and putting it down, you still have to be conscious that it's a scarf. Like, don't charge $200 for a scarf. I personally would sell a scarf for like $50 to $80, depending on what the scarf was like, right? So it's just being mindful of like what you're selling it for, what the product is, who your audience is. I think there's more nuance than just how much time it took for you to make it, if that makes sense. There is so much I could say on this, and it's hard to say things in a way that I'm constantly afraid I'm gonna step on someone's toes and someone's gonna be mad, but at this point I'm just speaking my truth, and if you disagree, that is totally okay. That's fine. We are all different people with all different opinions. That's a super cool part. We all will believe different things, but I kind of agree with this person that it's like you have to be like conscious of like what you're selling and who your audience is, and maybe not so much as who your audience is, but like who you would want to buy this product, because maybe your audience is different than like the target for like who would be buying it. I don't know. There's a lot to talk about on a topic like this, and it would definitely be interesting to go into further, but because I know this video is getting a little bit long, I think I'm gonna stop there. But please let me know your thoughts on this down below, because I think there's so much to say on the topic. And I don't think there's one right answer. I don't think that any one person is going to find like the solution, and we're all different people, so we can do whatever we want, and that's the cool thing. Okay, with all of that being said, that is all I have for today's video. I hope you enjoyed. You guys submitted really good hot takes. I liked them. I hope you guys liked them. I hope I didn't piss any of you off too much. I try to be very democratic in my responses, if you can't tell, but I'm trying to get better at standing my ground. So let me know down below what your thoughts are on any of these topics. If you have a different hot take that you want to elaborate on down below, please do. I would love to hear it. Just be respectful to one another in the comments. We are all different people with our own opinions. I don't know how many times I said that in this video, but it's true. So just be mindful of that. Don't be rude. If you are craving more hot takes, I will link Emma's video down below, so please go support them because they also had a great video full of a lot of hot takes. But with all of that being said, that is all I have for this week's video. Thank you so much for watching. I hope you enjoyed. If you liked today's video, make sure to like and subscribe. It helps me out so much. And hit that post notification bell if you want to know every single time I post a brand new video. I wish I could say I post weekly, but girl, I don't. I'm at school and I'm busy, and I've also been in a rut, but I do have some cute video ideas planned, and I would like to get back in the swing of things now that I'm starting to feel a little more confident again. But let me know what you guys want to see down below. If you want to hang out with me on any other social media platform, everything is linked down below. I'm most active on TikTok and Instagram, but even there I've been sparse. We'll be back. I swear. I will post more. I'll annoy you guys. I promise. I think that's all I got. Thank you guys so much for hanging out with me today. I love you all so very dearly, and I will see you next time with a brand new video. Bye, everybody.